Hi, this is Anita from the Reluctant Low Carb Life. If you've been listening to my podcast, you know that there are three things that we talk a lot about, which is called our Trifecta of Health. And today I want to talk a little bit more about the Trifecta of Health. I consider it to be so important, just an essential part of living. I really believe it's something that anyone can do, and you can do it anywhere in the world. We've written a blog post entitled Fresh, Full, and Fit, a trifecta for healthy living anywhere in the world. And in fact, if you live outside the United States, this in a way is kind of easier. I live in Hanoi, Vietnam, and I have to say that eating fresh foods and foods that are not ultra-processed is a lot easier than in the United States. In fact, fresh foods and fresh fruits and vegetables and meats are all, actually a lot cheaper than any type of processed food. So let's talk first about fresh, why we believe in eating foods that are fresh. Fresh food is the beginning of everything. Multi-processed food has been shown to be foods which are been chemically modified. There's been a lot of studies recently. A book that I read that I highly recommend is by a Dr. Chris Van Tolken, which is called Multi-Processed People. And in there, he talks about how dangerous, essentially, as ultra-processed foods are. That ultra-processed foods is not real food. But yet, for some people, they're eating 80% of ultra-processed foods, which means that 80% of the foods they're getting are not real foods. So, the fresher the foods, the more nutrients they hold. They hold more vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin E, vitamin B. They have minerals like potassium, magnesium, antioxidants to fight inflammation, and all of these things will, degrade over time in the processed foods. Fresh fruits, vegetables, grains, beans, eggs, dairy, fish, and unprocessed meat are loaded with some great raw materials for your body. Processed foods are essentially foods that have been stripped down of fiber. They've been drowned in sodium and sugar. They're often fortified to make up for what was removed, but there's a lot of synthetic nutrients in the foods that aren't suitable for nature's real versions, or not suitable for, they're not as good as what you can find in nature. So your body will absorb the minerals and the vitamins better in fresh foods than they would from multi-processed foods. You can find a lot of great fresh food all around the world, and a lot of the great basic foods that people eat, like, for example, in Mexico, if you're in Mexico, fish tacos. I love fish tacos. Or in Thailand, you can always find great stir-fried vegetables with tofu. So you might ask yourself, why do we need to get back to fresh foods? Well, it's simple. Our grocery stores are filled with boxes and plastic. Ingredients lists run for paragraphs. If you need a degree in chemistry to understand what you're eating, it's probably not helping your health. So that's really the crux of it all. If you need to have a degree in chemistry and you don't know what all these chemicals are that you're putting into your body, it's not good for you. Fresh food doesn't have to be complicated. It can be, doesn't be, endless hours in the kitchen. It can actually be very simple. It can be very easy. You can have a smoothie with spinach, banana, and almond butter, or you can have an apple with a handful of almonds. It doesn't have to be a very complicated kind of thing. So what does a fresh plate look like? Well, half the plate should be vegetables, steamed, raw, grilled, or roasted. 1/4 high-quality protein, and 1/4 whole grains or starchy vegetables. You can add some extras on there, which would be some healthy fats as, avocado, olive oil, or nuts. And that's one of the reasons why I love fresh foods, because fresh foods are such a great way of eating. And once you've eaten fresh foods, then you realize that there's so much more. You enjoy it so much more than the ultra-processed foods. The next great thing about fresh foods is when you eat fresh foods, it really helps you feel full and satisfied. So you have what's called satiety. You don't feel stuffed, you don't feel overfull, but you have satiety, which means that you won't have to eat for a much longer period of time, which means you'll eat less. And it's healthier for you. When you eat the fresh foods, the added benefit is you're eating foods that are going to give you the nutrients and all of the other things that you need. and you're going to feel full longer. Our last trifecta of health is fitness, to move every day. You can find a way to move. Find something that you enjoy and go out and move. If you're not able to do anything, walk stairs. We're great believers in walking stairs. Or do some yoga, stretch, go out to the park. There's lots of reasons why we believe this trifecta of health works, which is about fresh foods, foods that help you feel full, and fitness, is that you can do it anywhere. It's simple. It's a very easy plan to follow. And if you do that, you will be healthier and have a healthier lifestyle. So I actually have an example here where you can put it into practice, 1 week way to put into practice. I've written a blog entitled Fresh, Full, and Fit, a Trifecta for Healthy Living Anywhere in the World. So if you're looking for a way to be able to become healthier, we recommend that you check this out and check out our blog post. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to have you be part of our community. And if you have any comments or questions, please do let us know. Thank you so much for listening. If you haven't yet, press the subscribe button, because we're all about these three things: fresh foods, foods that help you feel full longer, and also fitness, getting some exercise in every day. Thank you so much.